Hi, Gitanjali.
Hi, is everyone here?
I think there's a network issue at my end. I'm not able to see you very. Uh, there is a lag.
Okay.
If you could just check your net.
Acha, the video is not clear.
Okay, so are we good to go, Gitanjali? Are you
Yeah,
all set?
I just wanted to
Perfect.
check if my video is clear and audio is fine.
Yeah, yeah, all's well now. All's good.
Okay, great.
Okay, and Sandeep, could we please have the screen sharing activated?
Yes, ma'am, you can check, ma'am, please.
Okay,
Okay, great. We can check right now.
so is this working?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep, perfect. It's perfect.
Awesome.
All right. So I am not going to take the risk of switching on my video because my network is very patchy. I don't want to get logged out. So
Hmm.
let me introduce Gitanjali to everybody. And so Gitanjali is an architect with an MA in Narrative Environments from Central St. Martin's, London, where she got an opportunity to work on collaborative projects challenging the existing designs of commercial, cultural, and community spaces. She has now over 4 years of experience working on some of the largest public festivals in London and India. Currently, she's working as an independent researcher, developing her own practice to raise awareness about India's architectural heritage. She'll speak to you about taking informed career decisions and why she has taken the opposite of the beaten path. So the stage is yours, Gitanjali. Welcome to Ketan Public School.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction and good evening, everyone. Today I'm going to talk to all of you about altering the convention when it comes to choosing your career path, and also alongside highlighting the power of your own choices. Um, as Gunjan mentioned, I am an architect and I graduated in architecture in 2014. And currently, I'm working as an independent researcher out of my studio in Delhi. Currently, like I'm looking at architectural heritage, which is unexplored, and I'm going to talk about it more later in the presentation. Moving on, I would like to start with saying that in a country like India, it's very easy to become a part of the rat race, where you find yourself stuck in situations like everyone else around you, and everyone is following a path um, where you don't even get a chance to pause, reflect, or question anything. So, like all of you, I was also in a similar situation. Like after clearing my 10th board examinations, my parents thought that without even checking with me, that being in the science stream was the best option for me. And like all my cousins, I would also be, I would become a computer engineer or maybe some kind of engineer, definitely. So before I even knew it, like I was already studying science. I was already enrolled in a coaching center, and then I was also taking additional tuitions. So I ended up studying the same subjects in 3 different locations, but still equally struggling. Uh, so nobody around me was feeling the crisis, and the pressure was building up. And that was the time when I started to realize that I really need to think of an alternative plan before the pressure eats me up. uh, so luckily, like one day in school, we were all ushered to the auditorium and were told that we had to attend a talk. And what we thought was going to be like a very boring lecture turned out to be something that ended up changing my life forever. It was this talk by a career counselor called Jitin Chawla, and he suddenly opened up like our minds to these plethora of opportunities that exist in the world that we had never heard about or never came across, or you know beyond engineering or being a doctor and the usual things that we hear. So he started mentioning terms like, there is an opportunity, there are opportunities for you if you're passionate about, becoming a researcher or an event planner or a filmmaker or a writer or a designer or a data scientist. So he mentioned that there are around like 78,260 career options that he has already identified. Like he's been into this business now for almost 20 years, I think. And he mentioned the importance of turning your passion into a career option. And in today's time, like it is possible. So I think that was a turning point for me. And on the same day, I went back home and gathered the courage to convince my parents to visit his center, and thankfully they agreed. So what I wanted was that I choose my career option based on my aptitude and some kind of expert interaction, and going through some kind of tests or analysis where I'm finally able to recognize like what I'm good at. So as part of a 3-hour long session, I went through like various kinds of tests, which were testing various kinds of my abilities. And also he made sure that he has a one-to-one interaction with me separately and my parents separately. And he like we finally all came to the conclusion that I was more suitable to a creative industry, which was something that was not possible before. Like this term had never come up in any kind of conversations with my parents before. And he also concluded that I can choose between fashion design and architecture. So no points for guessing. My dad immediately jumped into the conversation, and he, being a civil engineer himself, was very happy with me pursuing architecture, as he saw it as a combination of art and engineering. So at that point, I knew that this was my only chance to escape all the other unnecessary subjects that I don't need to worry about, and elevate the pressure on myself. And it also helped me kind of streamline my life. I still had my 12th grade to go, and I got rid of all kinds of tuitions and coachings. But obviously, like being Indian parents, they did enroll me into an architecture coaching for the remaining 1 year. But I realized that it was much more useful, as I was able to prepare myself much in advance for specifically the architecture examinations, and you know like learn sketching and better my skills during that 1 year. So finally, I was able to get through a college in Gurgaon itself, which was called Sushant School of Art and Architecture, and it happens through its own separate entrance examination, which is NATA. And I also gave the AIEEE for architecture, but did very badly in it. So long story short, I made it into architecture and started this journey, 5 year long journey. So like going through the course again, I was prey to the conventional education system where there was not enough room for thinking or being creative or spending too much time on design concepts, but there was always a rush for the final outcome. So I knew, like during this process also, that I had to think of a backup plan or an alternative plan. And I had already started talking to various people and realizing that the conventional path will be to finish studying architecture, and then you join an architecture practice, and you end up slogging for hours, and they will only make you draft like drawings for toilets and things, and you will not really be consulted in the decision making process, or things like your design thinking will not be given enough importance. So I at that point realized that I don't want to do this to myself, where I'm stuck in an office for hours in the name of learning. And yeah, it was time to think of a new plan. So for me, like while studying architecture, I was constantly like sketching and thinking about various kinds of ideas. So I started analyzing all that, and I realized that I am definitely interested in architecture, but something that is related to it, and not necessarily just making buildings and trapping people in boxes. So eventually I came across this opportunity, which was related to architecture and journalism. This was a studio which was based in Delhi itself, and here they were helping architects to expand their audiences, do marketing of their projects, being able to communicate all the work that they do throughout the year, participate in architecture competitions, get published in magazines. So all these things were also important for the growth of an architecture office, but they didn't never usually got the time to do it. So this studio specifically just helped with that. So during this experience, I got an opportunity to interact with many architects, and also learn new skills, learn new software skills, which are always helpful, and also understand architecture in a completely different light. So here I was playing a role of a graphic designer, and also uh, you know making books and doing other things, and also enjoying architecture at the same time. So with my experience here, I think I was able to expand my career options, like the expand my horizons, and also realize that I, through my networking in this job, I can actually now think of my masters. So I was looking at something which was multidisciplinary, where it was more open-ended. It was still related to designing spaces, but something more. So I was sitting at a cafe one day with a friend, and um, you know had like they had called another friend, and like it was a happy accident where they mentioned about this master's course in London, and it was called Masters in Narrative Environments, where people came from all different disciplines of design, but also law, journalism, and real estate and many other walks of life, and with a shared interest of designing experiences, like shared public experiences. So I think that course really helped me realize the importance of design, like designing for real life experiences where you do end up meeting people from so many like in different scenarios, like you work for clients, you have so many other external organizations associated when you're practicing, so you always need to learn how to deal with uh, those like take in those opinions as well. So here, like in the course emphasized a lot on testing ideas, making prototypes, keep uh, like making things till you achieve the intended experience. So this really helped me realize the importance of ideas failing, and also see the results like immediately, and then move on. So it was very different from what was happening in India. Like there you end up spending a lot of time on thinking about ideas, but you think so much that you never end up really testing them. So here, like the difference was that you don't think so much, but you should also keep testing along the way, and don't hesitate in failing. So here you can see like 3 images where we started with making a prototype of this uh, climbing wall from one side, and also a bench from the other side. So this was responding to the site where these, like there was a school, and these children didn't have a space to play. So we wanted to give them something which could act um, as like as a tool which could engage them, uh, but also act as a seating space and a library maybe, or things like they always used to end up making these different things like in their craft class. So we have also given these divisions where they can keep those things if they want. So this is a multi-purpose thing where you can decide to use however you want based on where it is located. um, so yeah, like while I was doing the course, I also got an opportunity to work for an arts organization where uh, they were like creating these large scale public experiences. And it was an opportunity for me to work as an architect, but like design for public experiences. And the scale was obviously much larger than what I had expected. But eventually I learned how to adapt my skills from college and my previous jobs to like this role as well. And I realized that there were times when I was reaching out to organizations, the specific roles didn't even exist. Like here I was working in the production team, and I didn't even know about like this thing existed, and I just wrote to them saying that I'm interested in exploring like my skills in this way. And yeah, like on the way, even certain roles were created in situations, and this was one of them. So here you can see pictures of certain art installations and projects where people are engaging with everyday spaces, but in a completely different way. So this was to make people realize that how important it is to have shared experiences, and also probably interact more with the people that you live with. uh, yeah. And yeah, like eventually I realized that it was really important for me to like keep experimenting with my choices. And I didn't like I knew by that time that it was important to uh, like I gained the confidence to make conscious choices. And I was able to like cross the dead ends and the roadblocks, and convert them into opportunities, because I always have had this image of a boring job where maybe I might just have to go back to the conventional space and work for this 9 to 5 job, and probably end up, killing myself. So this was always my motivation, and this was an important time for me as I was coming back from London to India. And after I came back to India, I uh, got to know about this arts organization, which was based out of Delhi, called the Serendipity Arts Foundation. And again, they didn't really have any opportunities at that point, but I wrote to them that I was interested, and I have this experience and I would like to contribute to the festival in whatever capacity I can. So I ended up getting an opportunity to work there, where again I was able to be an architect in a situation where my skills were being used in a completely different way. The idea of the festival was to transform the city for a span of 8 days with, multiple kinds of arts, so performances or visual arts or theater, dance, music. So it was important to have an architect on board where one could plan these things better. And the festival was in its fourth year, and the scale was again growing. So it also helped that the founder of the organization was also an architect. So we kind of worked together in that sense. So here, by this time, I was getting comfortable with this new identity of being an architect, but now designing experiences, which is something that I I started out with, and I kept that thought going, this is what I want to do and this is what I want to achieve, and things started aligning themselves along the way. Um, so yeah, after this job, I knew that it was time for me to start thinking about my own practice and how my career is going to be progressing. I knew that I needed some experience in the industry to make connections and network, and uh, help me also think about the various possibilities. Like, all these situations helped me get into the sector where the maximum experience design was happening. So after this job, I knew that I was able to see possibilities in all situations, and I didn't really have to completely abandon my foundation in architecture, which was the best part. So eventually, I came to the conclusion that what I enjoyed the most was combining architecture with some form of storytelling, whether it was through these public experiences or whether it was through writing about my work. And this is something that kind of formed the foundation of my practice. um, and I decided to then set up my own studio in Delhi, alongside a part-time job as well. And I started mapping all different ideas that I had and all kinds of possibilities that I was thinking about. And it was really important to sort my mind out. And these kind of exercises really help, whenever you are feeling too overwhelmed, it's always good to make the wall into a drawing board, or maybe use lots of post-its and break down ideas into simpler things. So I could already start seeing a pattern through these fragmented ideas coming together. And I came to the conclusion that I was interested in exploring uh, the unknown heritage that we have, uh, in specifically in Delhi, because that is where I live, and I wanted to start from here. So throughout my working experience, I was always engaging with cities in some way or the other. My experiences in London was working with the existing landscape of the city, and even with the Serendipity Arts Festival, it was working with old buildings which had been abandoned for a very long time and converting them into venues. But this was an opportunity for me to look at something that we are kind of familiar with. We all roughly know what heritage means, but I wanted to change the perception. Usually we always think about the monuments that were built by the Mughals, and also the colonial architecture that was during the British Raj. And I came across through my research this another architectural style which traveled to India during the 1930s and stayed on till the 1960s and played a very important role in uh, creating a foundation for modern architecture in India. So this was the phase where architecture was getting into public buildings. So the time of this, like near the time of the independence also, so when there was an opportunity for people to start going to cinemas and also having all these institutional spaces, even residences, like people started experimenting with design during this time. So I felt like it was important for me to uh, bring this out and document it before all the buildings disappear, and also engage people of my generation in this conversation of heritage, as gradually I see that people are losing interest. Yeah, so like after all this, I realized that I was able to see architecture as a combination of art, journalism. I saw it being collaborative, designing public experiences, tell stories, research around unknown heritage, and then turn it into something that is also visually engaging at the same time. So I feel like what started with being like this very restricting, career choice, even at that point, like when I had decided to do architecture, like the only possibility that I saw was like, okay, I will have to make buildings. But into like, as of today, I can say that it is much more than what I knew many years down the line. And like everyone is familiar with this symbol, and I feel like right now we are in this age of abundant information and resources, and I would suggest that all of you should be already exploring the different options that you can have, and you don't need to necessarily pressurize yourself with the burden of all kinds of subjects and things, like or any combinations can work. Like you will realize when you do like more research on the different kinds of entrance examinations, and also like making yourself aware rather than uh, being burdened by things like at this point, if you already can shortlist your possibilities and you can say, okay, I am going to consciously decide that this is what I want to do, and these are the kind of directions that I would be able to take. And it's fine that if you can't, like if you don't have all the answers, like many a times, even when I was stuck, I knew that I'm working with the process of elimination. Like, I'm identifying the things first that I definitely don't want to be doing. And that was helping me moving forward. So I would suggest that, like, all of you can, like, whenever you have spare time, you can start looking at logical reasoning tests, and, you can already start to educate yourself about the kinds of possibilities that exist. And especially during this time, like after COVID, like the world has transformed. Like I can specifically also talk about design itself. Like, a lot of people were preparing themselves to become designers in specific industries. But now, due to this crisis, that has shifted, and suddenly everything has to realign according to that. So I would say that it is more important to empower yourself in terms of making informed decisions, and not feel like stuck, or start also reaching out to people that you think inspire you or motivate you. Like even at this point, I'm writing to like researchers or writers and people who I think will be helpful for me in this process. I am also at a very early stage of my practice, and I'm learning along the way, but it always helps to communicate and uh, reach out to the people that you think will help you, or you know open up your uh, open up the kind of possibilities that you would like to explore. So that kind of brings me to the end of this presentation, and I would say that I'm happy to take any questions at this point, and also I'm available at any point if any one of you wants to talk to me about anything. And I will also share a link with Gunjan about like of this career counselor that I was talking about. Maybe if any one of you is interested in talking to him, and I'm sure now there are lots of options available online. So yeah, like I would say that you don't really need to be worried too much about stuff, and if just focus on converting your passion into like your career, and things will follow. So yeah, and thank you everyone for listening so patiently. Thank you, Gunjan, also for giving me this opportunity.
Oh, you're most welcome, Gitanjali. We have a question here, and it's a very real question. I think all of us feel it at some point in our lives. Um, she says here, she or he, I don't know, it's an anonymous attendee, how to fight against procrastination. I have chosen my career and I'm getting knowledge about it, but I procrastinate while studying about it and tend to focus on other careers then.
I think if like the fact that you're procrastinating or this is happening with you, it is a sign of something. And if at this point you feel that you want to probably look at other options, that's also possible. So I think like um, you don't necessarily need to be so fixated on one thing. I feel like I'm not sure at what stage are you, like is she a student, um, like that would be
I am not
useful
too
to know.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Because
Okay.
she's calling herself an anonymous attendee, she or he, I can't really tell. If you could
Okay.
specify.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on the stage also that you're at. While
Yeah.
you're at school, you have much more option, many more
Yeah.
options, and even later stage in life, like if you are open to other possibilities, you should go for it because all kinds of combinations exist. So that's not an issue.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. I mean, what I think admire most about you is the fact that you jumped in and, did more with with the knowledge you had and the talent you had, and you just combined everything and you put it together, and you're doing something that studied, but you're also doing something you're passionate about. So I think it's brilliant. I mean, I think it should definitely open a lot of minds regarding what they want to do in life and not be very typecast in very beaten track type careers, right? I think it would give
Definitely.
them a lot of food for thought.
Yeah.
Do we have some more questions from the attendees? Yes, anyone? Okay. Gitanjali, I have a question. Do you think it's really important to, study for something that you want to do? Like, say, for example, I will take my example. I started off as a teacher of English, and now I'm, doing media and events and other things, right? Of course, learning on the job, and of course, there are times when you have to really, delve deep and learn stuff. But do you think that when you want to bifurcate, when you want to take this career forward, you should actually get some degrees in it, or you should learn online, or is it a better option to just learn on the job?
I think both things are possible, and it also, like, sometimes the subjects that you study initially are not a reflection of your true talent. So it happens so that you might be really good at something, but it just took you longer to realize it or identify it. And the most uh, unpredictable situations like expose you to those hidden talents of yours. So I feel like definitely studying eventually, like if you have started to feel like you are now really passionate about that particular stream or field, then doing an online course also helps. Like you don't necessarily need to have a degree. Like in my in the time span of my experience only, times have changed to the point where nobody is even looking at a CV, where
True.
people are already more open to the experiences that you have, and how exposed, like how much exposure do you have to many things. And like people are now looking for uh, uh, workers who can actually uh, you know perform in every situation. So it's like it's, at least in my experience, whenever I have gone to situations where the role also didn't exist, it was more about how much was I keen to learn during that
Right.
experience, and how was I not necessarily rejecting what I have already have. So like without even realizing, like my education in architecture will help me in something completely else that I don't even realize. So I still feel like
Absolutely right.
everything is, all these things are interconnected, and maybe an architect turned into a writer would do it differently than someone who started off being a writer originally.
Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
feel like those kind of variations are also equally interesting.
Yeah, true. I agree. Yes. We have a couple more questions here. There is someone asking whether you've got to be good at drawing to take up architecture. I think it's a very common question that a lot of people are,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know,
I wouldn't say
bugged
so.
about. Yeah.
I wouldn't say so because um, if you are genuinely interested in creating spaces or any kind of built experience or any kind of build, like if you feel that your interests align with architecture, then drawing is something that can come
Mm.
along the way. Because even when I was going through the coaching experience, like it was more about uh, getting the perspective right. It was not so much about how beautiful the drawing is. So the I think the logical reasoning is much more important. Obviously, like with practice, even in college, like you get better at drafting things, and those are the skills that you need to learn. But if you won't necessarily excel at it, that doesn't mean that you can't become a good architect.
Very true. Absolutely. There's one more here, and let's just take that
Hmm.
up. It says, how tough would it be for any child to take their career decision? In the sense that, how tough is it for a kid in school to, to take a decision about career?
I
Because
would say,
again, we need to address. Yeah, yeah, go on.
like I feel from my own personal experience, it was tough because I didn't even know about the so like multiple options that existed, in the world.
True.
And I
Yeah.
remember along with this session that I had, there was also this test that was done by the school themselves, where we filled up a
Mhm.
form, and that's when I remembered, like me and my friend decided, okay, maybe both of us can do architecture. That was also something that uh, happened, and alongside the session, so I was very confident that okay, this is possible. But before that, this term had not existed in my life. My parents never mentioned it.
Mm.
Nobody around me thought of it as a possibility. So I do feel like it is difficult for a child if the environment is not conducive to flexible options. I feel like obviously at every stage you have to test different things and fail also, and you might not be good at something in the beginning, but like one should always get an opportunity to try.
I agree.
So I'm not
Absolutely.
sure if that answers the question, but I it depends like how supportive the parents are as well. Like that is very important.
True. True. Supportive, and also, there are, so it's a whole generation apart, right? So maybe the parents don't even have the knowledge of what all is available to the children. So
Yeah.
it's very important for the children as well as their parents to keep themselves updated, keep looking around and researching and, keeping their minds open.
Yeah.
Because I guess a lot of people in my generation who have young kids are still stuck in the whole engineer, doctor, teacher phase. So that really needs to be rehashed, especially in this country.
Yeah, I
There's a lot
mean,
of,
that is something where Indian education versus Western format is still having that gap. Like,
yes,
when I was at that stage, I was not very keen on doing any kind of course, but specifically this one because this is the only place where they spoke about the importance of dealing with like real life situations. Like, you don't have to be slotted into compartments, and like it has to be open ended. Like you can't decide in the beginning only, okay, this is what my outcome is going to be, and this is how it should be done. Like that's when it becomes difficult. That's where you are not taking into consideration the various other factors that come into play once you uh, get into the practical situation. So it's very important to uh, be flexible at every point. Like even if you ask me today, I don't know if I'll be doing this few years down the line or not, or even after 1 year. So such are the times.
true. Absolutely right. I guess, one has to be open, one has to research, and one has to also talk about what they want to do and how they can contribute. Because sometimes it's only them who have the idea. They
Hmm.
should accept that and probably talk about it with people. A lot of us probably forget to do that. They think they'll be judged or they'll not really be taken seriously. So,
Hmm.
so that is something one can do
Yeah,
as well.
like I had a friend from childhood where she always wanted to become an astronaut, and at that point I
Yeah.
used to feel like it's just not possible. And
Yeah.
over the years, like we haven't really been in touch, but I recently just checked her LinkedIn profile and I got to know that at least she works as an aeronautic engineer, and she is still related to the field. So
That's
I
very
realized that she kind of stuck to her interests, and in whichever way possible, like she was able to like work with it.
yeah.
And this is something that is really important. Like even when I was in college, like the tutors used to tell me that if you don't make a building, you will fail, you know
Yeah.
and you will not become a good architect and things like that. But
True.
there was no one to tell me that okay, you can still be an architect. Like when I do more research, even in the field of design, I realize that in the older times these distinctions did not exist. Like an architect was also a furniture designer, also a product designer, also a graphic designer. So there was this holistic thinking that was happening. And
Absolutely.
it's only now that so many kinds of categories exist that the interdisciplinary learning is not happening any longer. And I think that that's where the foundation courses also really help, where at least in international universities, the first year, if you do a BA, they give you a chance to experience all kinds of design, and then you can second year onwards make a choice.
Yeah.
So I think these kind of
Right. Absolutely.
things need to be incorporated more, where there should be more flexibility in terms of the subject combinations also. Why unnecessarily take the
Yeah.
burden of so many things which are not really going to be helpful?
That's so true.
So
So true.
yeah.
Absolutely. We need to definitely rethink all that. I guess slowly and steadily it will change. Is there
Yeah, I
anyone
hope
else
so.
with a question? Is there anyone else here with a question? Okay, I think our questions are addressed. We are sorted here. So thank you so much for
Great.
being here, Gitanjali. It's been wonderful having you. Absolutely wonderful.
Thank
You have opened a lot of minds.
you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here today. Like I got to reflect on a lot of things myself while I was talking about these things. So it was helpful for me as well.
you. Thank you so much. And I
Thank
love
you.
the images that you have in your PPT. They're so brilliant. You
Thank you
really
so
talk.
much. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Gitanjali. And oh,
Thank
we have
you.
one more
Best of
question, I
luck to
think.
everyone.
1 second, it just popped up.
Okay.
Oh, okay, just a hi. Yeah,
Someone
thank you
said
so
hi.
much. No, it was just a hi. False alarm, yeah. All right. So
Okay.
thank you so much, Gitanjali, for being here, and it was wonderful.
Thank you and all the best to everyone.
Thank you very much.